anyone that walks in my room to me is a magnificent human being, first and foremost. And I actually don't care what comes out of their mouth. I mean, when I say I don't care, like I'm there to help them get to where they might want to be. But if I come primarily from that space where I literally hold them in that level of regard, it's actually, how can I say it? There's not much room for shame in that, right? If I know if I'm being held in that regard with my warts and all the things that I consider to be flawed within myself, I know that if somebody makes me feel like that, then they're going to get my magic.
This is A Voice, a podcast with Dr. Gillyanne and Jeremy Fisher.
This is A Voice.
Hello and welcome to This is A Voice Season 8, Episode 8.
The podcast where we get vocal about voice.
I'm Jeremy Fisher.
And I'm Dr. Gillyanne Kays. And we are once again with the wonderful Lisa Perks and continuing the conversation.
Yeah, we've kept her in the studio for the last 2 weeks.
Can you tell? Thank you for having me back.
Welcome. Let's get straight into the next topic.
Fantastic.
Do you know that I've written down something you said? Good disagreement. What is good disagreement?
Did I say that?
You did.
Did I just quote myself there?
Yeah. Is it? Do you want to go there? What does it mean to you?
We can go there.
I love it. I love it.
I don't think I have to agree with everything you say. And I don't think everyone has to agree with what I say. We don't do disagreement very well. There you go. As a rule. Just going back to the injury situation with me, I gave my agency over to people who I thought, and you know, they know more about the things that I don't, like my voice and how, you know, the structure of, you know, as surgeons, you'd hope they do. But as surgeons and caregivers and specialists, I gave agency away. And every time I felt within me that I'd sacrificed a little bit of my own truth, I wouldn't have named it that way at the time, but I was scared to say, no, I disagree. And so that's a horrible thing to happen to somebody. I forfeited my own sense of agency and power because of another expert saying something. As experts in a field, which there are literally thousands of experts in this field across the world, wouldn't it be really nice if we could actually just talk and disagree and not, for someone like me who's very prone to going, oh, yes, you know more than me, I'm going to shut up. Like, that's really what I'm like deep down. This is, you know, it might look feisty or feisty, whatever, but the truth is I surrender that because I'm scared to go and have discussions with people who I think might know more than me. I will back out of the conversation. And we need, because I'm scared of disagreeing with someone who's more knowledgeable. That's the story.
Yes, you're putting them above you. And
exactly.
There is a question that I do like that I think does sort of tackle that.
Go on then.
Why?
Ooh.
Because it is a question that you can ask experts. If they say, well, this, and you go, oh, why is that?
And actually, Lisa, in a wider medical context, this is, we have been trained, doctor knows best.
That's right.
And the truth is, if we're looking at our own wellness, patient knows best. And patient negotiates with doctor. And that's something that I had to learn because I developed a heart condition. And I can remember one time being in hospital and saying, I disagree with the decision you've made. And I remember seeing the horror on the look of the doctor's face. I said, I think you've made an error of judgment.
Mm-hmm. And I love you for that, because you're a strong, powerful woman, Gillyanne.
I had to learn to fight.
I know you as that person. And this is what I'm saying. We need to have more people who are vulnerable, human, willing to have good, robust conversations around difficult things, and to disagree really well in order to advance this art form. And it's an art form. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that there are many colors to this rainbow, right?
So how can
one way or the way or whatever,
apart from the one that I sell, and that is the way.
That's
fine.
The way.
Yeah.
How
if we accept that, that's fine.
How can we? I don't even want to use the word train, but how can we guide singers to take their own responsibility, not in their own responsibility, to say, but it isn't uncomfortable. I do want to sing that somehow, so that they can navigate, for instance, if you do have a vocal injury, how they can navigate and stay unashamed and stay positive as they go through that. People talk about how elite athletes are trained. Athletes plan for the end of their careers.
They do. That's right.
And they actually plan for injury. And how can we help singers in that respect? I've slightly secured.
I know, because we've had discussions around this off camera before. And I think I don't want to say it begins with teachers, but I will anyway. I think that at the very least, we can find ways that are congruent for us individually. There isn't one answer to this question. I mean, it's a great question. And I think that as I'm doing the research and stuff, I will come up with suggestions around this. That is very much the reason I'm doing it. It's focused on how can we do better? How can we? Because I don't know if you know this, but one of the biggest studies in musicians and mental health took place in the UK only a few years ago. And
was Graham Welch?
No, it wasn't. It was Gross and Musgrave. There you go. It was Westminster University study, I think. Can't quite remember. Anyway, the numbers were huge. There were about 2,000 people that took place in this study. And they were all working musicians, so all professional musicians in the UK. Huge study, biggest of its kind at that point. And 70% there or thereabouts suffered from anxiety or depression. Now, if shame is a master emotion, and if singers and musicians attribute a great deal of their self to this particular art form, we know that shame leads to things like anxiety and depression. So if you look at it even very, from a very broad perspective, you could just go, hey, this is a real thing within our culture. I'm not saying that teachers start it. I don't think it's quite as simple as that. But if we can have some responsibility about how we show up as teachers, how we talk to one another as peers, how we regard singers, how we hold those beautiful souls that walk in our room every single day and treat them like, to say just human beings, it doesn't even, for me, like everybody that I work with is a beautiful divine being, and with absolute the right to sing, dare I say it, so I'm going to just drop that in there, but they have the absolute right to sing. They're a magnificent being. Anyone that walks in my room to me is a magnificent human being, first and foremost. And I actually don't care what comes out of their mouth. I mean, when I say I don't care, I'm there to help them get to where they might want to be. But if I come primarily from that space where I literally hold them in that level of regard, it's actually, how can I say it? There's not much room for shame in that, right? If I know if I'm being held in that regard, with my warts and all the things that I consider to be flawed within myself. I know that if somebody makes me feel like that, then they're going to get my magic. They're going to get that. And who knows, maybe if we can cultivate more of that in how we teach and how we listen, even to the point, I do this thing in the workshop where even I put the responsibility onto the listener, not the singer, to sound good. What intentionality am I holding when I listen to someone? Am I just looking at them as someone to be fixed or something that's wrong? Like, if that's the only way I can show up as a teacher, I'm missing something profound and beautiful. And I'm
so
actually
pleased,
a great disservice to this.
I'm so pleased that you brought this up, because I was going to go there. I was going to go there as well, because
there was a lot. Sorry.
I wanted to answer Gillyanne's question about what can we do. And I think there's this is a longer term thing, but you've just set out what I wanted to set out, which is if we, the way that people can take charge of what they do is when they believe their own experience. And that is a journey. When you actually come to believe your own experience and you believe what it is that you're feeling is accurate and what it is that you're feeling is going to help you and is positive for you, despite what other people tell you around you, then that's actually the biggest driver for me of doing what Gillyanne did, which she just said, which is standing up to the doctors in the hospital and going, no, I don't agree with you. That is understanding and believing what you are experiencing and feeling. The way that we as teachers can help that is to demonstrate that by acknowledging the person who walks into the room before they've even opened their mouth. And this is exactly what you were talking about, creating the safe space and being client-led. So you have a safe space and you have an understanding and an intelligence and an experience. And when that person walks into the room, you go, hello, who are you?
Yes.
Who are you?
Yes.
What are you bringing today?
What are you bringing today?
Yes.
Yeah. And therefore they experience us going, I acknowledge who you are.
100%.
And then when they experience that, they can start to experience their own experience of that. It's in a way, it's a long-term journey, because you need to do that over and over and over again, that people then start trusting themselves. But it's also an instantaneous thing. You walk into a room and you go, I feel safe here. That is an instantaneous thing.
That's right. That's right. And safe spaces and brave spaces, holy spaces, and I don't necessarily mean that in a religious way, or sacred spaces. Like when someone shares something of themselves that is so great to them or so important to them, we have to hold that as holy. Like it's an immense privilege to be in the presence of that, because an outcome is a thing on top of that. But we must start from that point of view, and that starts with us, actually. It really starts with us. And what are we doing before that person even walks in the room, before they say anything, before they share anything? What is our heart and our intention towards that person? Is it to fix them? I don't know. Is it to give them a good time? I don't know. But
all of the above,
and
none of it.
To be honest,
and none of it. Exactly. No, there's nothing to be fixed, right?
No. To be honest, it depends. It depends very much on what the client's goals are. Someone might come in and say, I have this particular issue. That's why I've come to you. I need to hit that top C in Phantom of the Opera. Right. And you go, okay, let's work on that. Explore what's going on with your particular, the way you use your voice contextually.
Yes.
Okay, I think it would help if you did that. Okay, problem solved. And then maybe that person will go away and not come back for 3 years because
they got the job.
I nailed it.
Yeah. And sometimes, particularly with avocational singers, they just want to sing. We had a lovely moment yesterday in the pedagogy practicum, didn't we, where we were watching a lesson and suddenly somebody typed watching someone else's lesson and the singer was singing, take another little piece of my heart.
Yeah.
And the comment was, oh, isn't it wonderful how the singer reveals themselves through the song? Suddenly you saw that person in the song, which is why in a practical sense, it's really important if we're going to call ourselves teachers that we actually allow our students to sing. Yes. The singer needs to sing. It's not enough that we do these sort of routines. We're not just doing exercises in the gym. We want to get out and
run the race.
And have a go at running the race.
And let's circle back a little bit to what you were saying about that. That I guess it's like an inner trust in oneself. If they're not singing, then they're not, you've got to experience that. And to experience the repeatedly being, here we go, regarded as whole and complete and marvelous ad nauseum almost. Like you've got to keep going, that you've got to allow that singer to keep feeling good and also to trust in themselves instinctively. That even when let's take the example of the avocational singer who, I don't know, maybe they're singing a bit flat or something, or I don't know, like it could be a number of things. Sometimes it's around a conversation like that might go something like, have you ever thought about what you want to sound like? Have you ever given yourself permission to make a sound like the sound that you want to make? Or are there a million voices in your head telling you that you weren't good enough or that you can't do that or whatever? There's so many things, as you say, like those voices from the past or voices from the present, voices from the media, voices from the competition, whatever it is. Have you ever just quietened yourself and given yourself full permission to just sing, just the way you want to sing? And I'm not saying that's going to fix every vocal issue out there. No, I'm not saying that. But I actually think that I watch people so bound up in their heads and their self-consciousness and the over management of this, that, and the other, that they just won't express themselves. And especially with the avocational singer, sometimes that's what they want to do. In fact, I'm going to go one further. That's what they need to do. That's what their soul and their body is calling them to do. I don't think that needs a great deal of micromanagement on my part. I want them to feel like the sounds that they're making are valued, they're heard, they're important.
It's a form of self-connection.
Yes.
That's the thing. And a lot of people sing for that reason, whether they're conscious of it or not. Yeah. That's really the reason why they sing. It's actually why I sing. I sing in the shower to cheer myself up. I'm having a bad day. Song pops into my head. I'll sing. I enjoy it. I don't need to perform. That's not where I am in my life. And I haven't been for a while. But it is a very precious form of self-connection. And if we take that away from people in the manner in which we train them or guide them, then we're doing them a disservice.
150%.
Something that's quite interesting coming up from what you were saying, which is, it seems to me that the role of the teacher is changing and has changed, and that 100 years ago it was drills, it was sequences.
I wish it was 100 years ago, but
no, I know I'm being generous.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of drills. I love a drill.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But it's really interesting, and there will be circumstances, and I do say this, that the more inexperienced the singer is, the more likely they are to need drills of some kind.
Yeah, of course.
What I think is so fascinating, what you're talking about, and also what we do, is the light touch. And actually, that goes across the board. We did a masterclass with 8 singers last couple of weeks ago. And that was very interesting because you've got 20 minutes.
Oh, it was an in-person.
It was in person.
So nice.
In-person masterclass. We haven't done that for years.
What a joy.
And that was really fun because you're very much sitting there when the person walks up, which is, Who are you?
Yeah.
What are you bringing to me? What piece are you doing? What's the context? What do you want to sing it for? Is there a context? Do you just want to sing? It's fine. And then you're listening out for something and you go, I want to do a light touch. I want to do a really clear instruction, sometimes just one, sometimes a group of them, that will give this person something that will help them feel or recognize or realize or improve or experience or anything like that. And we are talking light touch.
The discovery.
Yeah, the discovery thing. And what often happens is that the skill of a teacher is to hear what might be.
Yes, we form a trajectory and we have to be very careful how we form that trajectory.
That's it. Exactly.
From a technical point of view, I've always been fascinated by the idea that someone might come to a lesson. This is a relevant detour. And
all detours are relevant.
Yeah, we love them.
I can go up to B flat, say B flat 5. And I'm hearing that voice and I know damn well there's another third up there that they could hit B6. Yeah. How do I know that? It's extraordinary, isn't it? And then if that's what they want, then maybe I'll go there. But it fascinates me that, and I would guess it's a level of experience of working with voices that allows you to form that trajectory. But in terms of what you're looking at with the singer as a whole and how they're delivering a song, it's a different thing. It's why I'm always really happy to co-masterclass with Jeremy, because of his level of musicianship. Because it's a musical experience as well as a vocal experience, and it's also an audience, a listener experience.
That's right.
If nobody hears it, what is it?
That's right. That's it. Yes. Yeah. And how is it listened to? Is the other. What are we bringing as audiences? As what do we do when we turn up to a gig or to a show? What intentions are we setting? I know we can't control 500 people in an audience. I get that. But you can, when you have a masterclass, you can certainly as you're leading that masterclass, you can completely suggest to everyone how they might meet that voice, how they may receive that voice. With the sort of the professional people that come through who do have a certain thing that they're doing or a particular struggle, of course, there's definitely room 100% to work on function and things like that. Of course, I'm not talking about this as a whole approach. No, maybe it is a whole approach. I think the bottom line is that foundationally, this is a whole approach. It's like, understand how to help people get through the passagios, understand all that other stuff, but fundamentally as teachers, let's get this right. Let's actually get this right and then build all the other good stuff on top of it. Because if this is not right, we are sending out, vibes or energies that maybe we don't intentionally want to do, but we do. Sometimes it is intentional.
Yeah. And it comes from the way that we were trained, unfortunately. There's all of the training regimes and maybe even the way that more traditional education is constructed. I think that contributes to that, the whole idea of conservatoires, doing a degree where you have certain targets that you must meet. It's something, again, that quite a lot of our teachers talk about, which is, I want to honour the individual, and they're not in that place at the moment. I've got to get them through that exam in order that they can go on into their next year.
Yes.
And because I think consciousness has been raised, which is good. They sometimes feel there's a mismatch between what's written down in the academic criteria and what the singer needs.
Yeah.
Just thinking about the process of a lesson and the process of what a teacher does in a lesson. And the one bit I can't get away from is diagnosis. Because, and I'm using the term diagnosis, but in fact, what we're doing is analysing. The thing that you, and okay, there's a whole stack of thoughts that are about to come out. Okay.
Okay, ready.
Go. Are you sitting? Have you got your seatbelt on? Okay, great. The first thing that happens is the person walks into the room and you will have already created an open space, a space where possibility is possible.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's a feel, it's an atmosphere, it's an approach, it's the way that you communicate, it's all sorts of things. That's the teacher's responsibility. And you start with, hello, who are you and what are you bringing? And that's a really nice open question. Somebody then sings, and the moment they open their mouth, in fact, sometimes even before, I'm going, what am I experiencing from you? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What are you telling me? What are you showing me? What are you delivering to me? And I'm analyzing that. And I like context, because if you have a different context, the answers are different.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going for an audition tomorrow. I have to put my audition context filter on.
That's right.
Okay, so there are certain things that I'm not saying because you have to do this tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, you're recording the song in 2 days' time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Or,
like,
yes, yeah. Or you're coming for a longer term series of things and you have a goal at the end of that. Or you don't even have a goal and let's find out what your goal might be.
yes.
So you start there, and then all the time I'm going, okay, there's technical stuff, there's performance stuff, there's physicality stuff, there's energetic stuff, is the song right for you? Can we change the song? Can we change the song completely, or can we find your version into the song?
Does it need to be in a different key for your voice,
Yeah.
etc., etc.?
Shall we morph genres so you keep the song but you sing it in a different style? There's all of these things going on. And the whole business of regimes, because we mentioned those earlier, where you see, here is the technical exercise and this is what I want you to do, that becomes one tool. It's a very important tool, because often it's the way that you can get somebody to change what they do, or to morph what they do, or to improve or refine what they do. But it is only one version of it. I will sometimes say, can we just sing the song twice as fast? I want to find out what goes on.
Yes, yeah, I do that too.
Right.
Let's go super quick.
Let's do the speed run, because things reveal themselves. So the idea that I want you to do, my first question is why?
Yes.
I always come back to the why question. Why am I doing? Why am I asking you to do this? What's the point?
Yeah, what is the point?
And therefore you've got a massive array of tools that you can use that aren't necessarily just technical, to find out what's going on and to help that person experience what they themselves do.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my stack of things.
Can I just add to this? Because I actually think we were really early adopters of this thought process. I can remember doing do you remember when we did a big thing in London in 2003?
We've done a lot in London in 2003.
Oh,
I don't remember. Give me a context.
We had 200 people. It was at the the Regent's Hall.
Yes, I do. Yes.
And I stood up there and I did sang the 5-note scale, and I said, why are we doing it? We were already thinking like that then, which is, what's the purpose of it? I'm not to sing a 1-5 sequence at all. It's based on various musical patterns that we all grew up with, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But then it's, why am I doing this? And that's been very much my journey as a teacher, which is, what's the purpose of doing this?
Yeah.
How is it going to serve this particular situation with the singer? I mean, I'm known for being a technician much more than a performance coach, which Jeremy is. But listening to you talking about the process just now, Jeremy, I actually think that what voice trainers do, singing teachers, coaches, is actually effing phenomenal.
Oh, it's profound.
Because we are dealing with things on so many levels, which is why we like to do a brain dump and sift, which is our process for diagnostics.
Yeah.
And diagnostics, of course, includes, this is working really well in your voice.
Yeah, keep it.
I love that you're doing this. It's not about, we have something going wrong here.
Right.
Oh. So anyway, we've just talked too much. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, my head's just, I've got word salad going on in here. So I'm, my thoughts are always so blooming noisy that it's like, I have to just get in there and go, whoa, 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 whoa.
Make some noise, girl.
Pardon?
Make some noise, girl.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I have so many thoughts at the moment. I'm with you. I'm completely with you. I think what I want to get to here is that all of this belongs, right? I think all of it has a place. And I think it's our job to, here's controversial, to acknowledge that whether we are therapists or not is irrelevant. Singing is therapy. And we are doing that. I think that if we can have an understanding of that and hold that with extreme respect and regard, I think the outcomes in our studios will be exponentially different.
I think that's a very interesting thought, and I'm going to very gently disagree with you, but not really. Absolutely. Singing, okay, the singing teacher, the vocal coach, the choir leader, singing is the experience of therapy. It's the experiential part of it. It's not the theoretical part of it. It's not the psychological part of it. The point about getting singers to sing in the studio or in the room is that they do.
That's right.
For me, there's a line which is, I can't go into the psychotherapy because I'm not trained. So I'm not going to unpack the problems behind, but I am going to get the singer to express those problems in singing. And that to me is the do part of it. It's the experience.
That's right. You are doing therapy. You are actually doing it because it's experiential, and people sometimes don't have the language or the thought to actually unpack all of that stuff. But it's in the doing that we gain, I don't know, it's like a knowing or an understanding, a connectedness to oneself that perhaps couldn't be done in a psychology, in a room with your psychologist or with your counselor.
100%.
So I do agree 100%. This is like a body-based therapy.
Right.
And I don't think I'm alone with that thought. I was going to try and find something in my Rolodex here of studies that just doesn't want to come out. But I'm pretty sure if anyone wanted to research it, I'm pretty sure that there's enough evidence out there to say that this singing is some form of a body-based therapy. And through that, people learn about themselves. I know that I learn about myself when I sing, especially now. Yeah, I feel like the last 5 years I have grown and I'm continuing this. What you're seeing today, I hasten to say, is not what you're going to see in 10 years. So and neither should it be, to be honest. But I feel like there's this unraveling that's been taking place slowly and steadily over the last 5 years. And it has been learning about myself through my voice.
Yeah.
And if anyone said to me, how do you quantify that? How do you explain that? What have you learned? I would have to say, I don't actually know that I can articulate that quite yet. But if I can, and when I do, I'm happy to share it. I know that shame, going back to shame, has played a very big role in my life on so many levels. And the voice is a rather large part of how I saw myself and how I still see myself as a singer. So there's definite shame around what happened to me with my injury and so on and so forth. But when I look at myself as a person, how I show up in the world, I understand that I have a proneness towards self-consciousness. And I know that has caused quite a lot of discomfort and sadness for me. And so as I sing now, even though my voice isn't what it could have been, should have been, would have, could have, should have, blah, whatever, I know that with every bold step that I take with my voice, and those bold steps are done in private as well. See, bold steps are not necessarily about standing on a stage. Bold steps take place in your room, because I am my hardest critic. I am the harshest voice to myself. And so when I choose to love myself and make the sounds that feel almost impossible or difficult because of the injury and because of those things, that's me being very brave with myself. And through that bravery, I'm learning things that I can't quite articulate yet. But one day I'm looking forward to sharing that with people, because I hope, I sincerely hope that others go through that too, especially those that are aging or have injury.
I love that.
I think it feels like a really good landing
That's
point.
a great place to finish. Where can we find you? Where can people find out about you? Do you have a website?
You can come see me at epiphanyvocalstudio.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I hang a bit low because I'm a bit shamed. No, it's true. People say, why are you not out on social media all the time, Lisa? Because I'm extremely self-conscious. I am. And I'm willing to go public and say that. I wish I could.
Because it doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work for you.
You will notice I do not post on Facebook except for the business.
You will notice I don't post on Facebook at all.
Yes,
because I dislike Facebook.
Sorry, all you lovely people on Facebook. I love you, but life is too short, actually, for me to go through that.
I love the name of your studio, Epiphany.
Yeah,
Epiphany Vocal Studio.
And it happens every day, every single day. I found that name, or that name found me. And when I said it, I thought, oh no one's going to be able to spell it. Everyone's going to go, oh, what's that? And I said, oh, shush. It doesn't matter. It really does sum up what's happened to me and what I see happening with the people that I work with.
We will have a link to Epiphany Vocal Studio in the show notes so people can click it. They don't even need to spell it.
That's right.
It has been a complete joy talking to you.
I love you too.
We share so many things that we agree with and a few that we disagree with, and that's fine too.
It's a very special connection, and I'm so grateful that we made that connection back in 2019 and all the stuff that happened 2018 to 2019.
2018, that's right.
And the moment of first meeting you physically, it was like bonding.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, I tend to go there straight away, don't I? That's the thing. Like, I'm a vulnerable person. And
let's see if this is going to work or not. And I'm very grateful for that vulnerability. It's a very special quality.
So we're going to recommend your studio to people, and also that they can find out about you and talk with you, get to know you. So thank you so much for being on the podcast, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. This is A Voice, a podcast with Dr. Gillyanne Kays and Jeremy Fisher.